So you have your unit test tomorrow. I'm glad that you are getting this homework done and you are on here making sure that it's correct. The first one that you had is x squared plus 6x plus 5 equals 0, and it says solve by factoring. That's when you're going to use the GCF, trinomial, difference of perfect squares. So there's no GCF between these three terms, but I do have a trinomial, so I'm going to use my product sum method. What two numbers multiply to be 5? That add up to 6, that's 1 and 5. So x plus 1 times x plus 5 equals 0. Set each number equal to 0. X plus 1 equals 0. X plus 5 equals 0. And solve. That means my roots are -1 and -5. The second one, x squared minus 9 equals 0, I said is free choice. So you could solve this by factoring, you can solve by completing the squares, difference of perfect squares, or quadratic formula. I'm going to show up using our inverse operations. Because I only have a single term of x squared, I don't have any other x terms in here, I can just add 9 to both sides. X squared equals 9, and then I can undo squaring by taking the square root. So x is plus or minus 3. Remember to include both the positive and negative value. If you were to have factored that, what two numbers multiply to be 9 that add up to 0, it would have been 3 and 3, giving you your -3 and your +3 roots. On the back, x squared plus 6x plus 9 equals 0. And it wants you to solve it by completing the square. Now normally, what we do is we group the first two terms together, we kick the constant out, and then we find out what that perfect square is. But what you're going to see is when we take the value of b and split it in half, we get 3, and then square it, we get that 9, which is what we started with. And we take that amount away. So we end up with our x squared plus 6x plus 9 equals 0 anyways. That's because that this is already the sum of two perfect squares. What's half of 6? It's 3. X plus 3 squared is the same as x plus 3 times x plus 3, which would get you this same sum of perfect squares. If this is equal to 0, I just take the square root. X plus 3 equals plus or minus 0. Well, plus 0 and minus 0 are the same number. So x plus 3 equals 0. That means I only have one root. It's -3. And then the last one, 6x squared minus 10x minus 16 equals 3. By quadratic formula, I have to have this equal to 0 to use my quadratic formula. So 6x squared minus 10x minus 19 equals 0. And then I identify A, B, and C. A is 6, B is -10, and C is -19. So x equals -b, so +10, plus or minus the square root of b squared, -10 squared, minus 4 times a times c, all over 2 times a. And then you just need to grab a calculator and evaluate that number and put it over 12. I'll leave you to do that. Grab your calculator, figure out what that number is, and there are your roots.